All right, so let's jump right into this really surreal and kind of cautionary fable about a town that basically tried to dream its way out of its own collapse. We're going to be talking about the final, absolutely bizarre year of a place called Sugartown. It's this town in the Ozarks that used to be a huge industrial powerhouse, but, well, it turned into this tragicomic experiment in how not to govern. It's really a story about what happens when all the spectacle and theater replaces actual substance, and when just being civil becomes an excuse for letting everything fall apart.
And this quote, wow, it just perfectly sums up the whole story of Sugartown, doesn't it? It was this once mighty town, famous for making what they called the purest sugar in the hemisphere. And then, poof, it became a ghost town, just a hollowed-out shell. And for its grand finale, its last act, it just leaned into all this performance and absurdity, all in this desperate last-ditch effort to get back some of that old glory.
So, to really get a grip on how Sugartown fell so hard, we have to go back. We have to understand its sweet, sweet glory days. Its whole identity, even its name, was completely wrapped up in this one industry. An industry that was, well, about to vanish off the face of the earth. And the contrast here, it is just so stark. You look back at its heyday, and Sugartown's population was over 200,000 people. Can you imagine? The air was apparently shimmering with sugar dust. It was alive. But, as the decades rolled on, that giant just became a ghost. The industry packed up and moved overseas, the factories closed their doors for good, and the population just crashed to under 20,000. It just left behind this empty shell of a town.
And this didn't happen overnight. Oh no. This was a slow, relentless decline, a century-long bleed. But you know what the real kicker was? The ultimate insult? It came in 2008. The Ingall family, the dynasty that founded the town, they packed up, moved to Bermuda, and rebuilt their sugar empire into this massive, thriving global brand, all while just leaving their original home, their namesake town, to literally rust.
So, what do you do in a situation like that? Well, in their desperation, the completely exhausted citizens of Sugartown, they turned to a very unconventional leader. When every single practical solution has failed you, what's left? Apparently, you decide to try a little theater.
And that brings us to Mayor Thaddeus Tully. This guy was a lifelong actor from the town's famous Orpheum Theater. And get this, he was elected not because of his policies, but because of his performance. The people were just so tired of failed plans and empty promises. They basically figured, hey, an actor can't possibly do any worse, right? And Tully? He really believed that the art of performance could be the thing to save a town where everything else had already crashed and burned.
So what's his first big move as mayor? His first major policy? It's not about fixing potholes or the budget or creating jobs. Nope, it was about feelings. Tully brought in something called the Pledge of Consensus, which was, wait for it, an absolute ban on any disagreement in the town council. Harmony was now officially the law of the land.
But right away, this one resident, Nellie Tupp, she just cuts right to the heart of the whole problem with this simple but totally devastatingly practical question. She's really the voice of reality in a room that has suddenly decided to dedicate itself to pure fantasy.
And Tully's response? Oh boy. It really sets the stage for all the absurdity that's about to unfold. See, for his council, the feeling of being unified was way more important than actually getting anything done. Progress came second to politeness. This was the exact moment that practicality just got up and walked right out the door.
So with consensus as their only guide, their only compass, the council's ideas for solutions got more and more detached from reality. They started this whole series of grand, super theatrical and, well, ultimately disastrous experiments, all in the name of saving Sugartown. Okay, first up, the Stillness Proposal. Yeah, to promote tranquility, they voted to ban all cars. But they weren't just banned. Oh no, that's too simple. They were renamed Historic Display Units. Even the ambulance got a rebrand. It was now a moving sculpture of community compassion, and it was only supposed to be used in parades. It's a plan so absurd, it's almost poetic, right? Trying to solve the town's problems by literally grinding everything to a halt.
So, when forcing everyone to walk everywhere predictably failed to do anything for the economy, Tully pivoted. The town needed a new great hope, and that hope was called pollen prosperity. The big idea was to take those old, abandoned sugar refineries and convert them to process pollen into some kind of revolutionary new wallboard. What could go wrong?
Well, there was just one teensy little problem with their miracle product. Turns out, pollen is flammable, like very flammable. After a whole string of fires, the federal government had to step in and issue a ban. The whole venture just literally went up in smoke, and it completely bankrupted whatever was left of the town's finances.
So now they're financially ruined and completely out of ideas. Sugartown has no choice but to ask for help from its successful neighbors, River Glen and Hill Glen. And this opened the door to a whole new kind of destruction, a much quieter, gentler, and honestly even more insidious kind.
And this is really how a town can vanish, you know? Not with a bang, but with a muffin. Their partners from River Glen and Hill Glen started this slow, very polite absorption of the town. It started small, with things like muffins shaped like handshakes. Then it was commemorative flags with both their logos on them. Before long, they were offering heroic assistance, which was just a nice way of saying they were quietly taking over all the town's services and moving Sugartown's archives to their own offices for, efficiency.
So, as Sugartown's ability to govern itself just faded away, its government devolved into this pure, surreal performance art. They had no real power left, so all they could do was create the illusion of governing. And that led to their most brilliant and most tragic invention yet.
Meet the auto clerk. I mean, just look at this thing. It is the ultimate symbol of their whole philosophy. It's a machine designed to just manufacture consensus by completely bypassing human thought. It would automatically stamp approved on any document as long as nobody objected right away. It was efficiency without consideration. It was agreement without any thought behind it.
And what do you think its very first act was? Well, it efficiently and unanimously approved the dissolution of the Public Works Department. You know, the actual people who were responsible for fixing the town's crumbling roads and leaking roofs. The irony, it's just perfect.
So we come to the final act of Sugartown, and it wasn't some big tragedy. Oh no, it was a festival. A festival celebrating its own disappearance. The town just embraced its final collapse with the exact same theatrical flair that it had applied to everything else.
But behind all this absurdity, there was a really heartbreaking reality. With every single new committee, every new festival, every new pledge of consensus, more and more actual people just packed up their bags and left. The population was just bleeding out. It shrank from 20,000 all the way down to just 7,000, all during Tully's time as mayor.
And the final step? It was just a bureaucratic erasure. That friendly partnership turned into a full-on annexation. The name, the history, the entire idea of Sugartown, it was just wiped off the map. Replaced with this sterile, corporate name, the sweet town was gone. It was just a corridor now.
You know, the story of Sugartown is this completely surreal fable, for sure. But it's also a really powerful warning, isn't it? It's about the dangers of performative politics and what happens with unchecked groupthink. It really forces us to ask ourselves, what do we end up sacrificing when we value the feeling of agreement more than the reality of making actual progress? When just getting along becomes the only goal, the price you pay might just be everything.